Hello, my name is Henriette and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'd love to have you here. I have been so excited about this video because it's finally time to decorate for fall, and I'm going to start this off with my porch. I decided the best place to start was a trip to the garden centre, and it was great because I found some beautiful orange flowers, and I also managed to pick up a few faux flowers. Now when I buy faux flowers, I tend to just get a few expensive ones and then fill up with cheaper ones. I absolutely loved the colour of these hydrangeas, so I ended up grabbing a few of those. The last thing I wanted to buy were of course some chrysanthemums, or mums as I think you call them over in the States. And these ones were hard to find. We found so many pinks, yellows, white ones, and finally on the 5th garden centre we got some orange ones, so I was delighted. Whenever I do a project like this one, I always like to make something myself. It feels more personal when you've done something that no one else has. And I started off by collecting some sticks from the bottom of our garden. We're very fortunate, we have a little woods down there, and this is free, so this is great. Whatever project I do, I tend to look to nature for some inspiration. And these sticks might not look very inspirational, however, I had this idea that I could make a tray, but let's see how we get on. I started off by cutting some of the sticks into the same lengths, and I tried to use sticks which were roughly the same sort of thickness. However, I wasn't going for perfection, I was going for something a bit rusty. Once I had enough sticks, I simply tied them together using twine. Now twine is great because it's also biodegradable, and it's something that I like to use a lot. The day I did this, it was super hot in London, so I decided to plonk myself underneath the cedar tree in the shade, and this was rather lovely actually, sitting in the garden. For the sides, I just used longer sticks, and I did them 3 up just to get the right sort of size. And here it comes, all finished. I actually quite like it. It is very rustic. And I also ended up making a riser, same sort of method as I used before. It was time to deal with the flowers that I'd just purchased, and I didn't want to be looking at the plastic pots that they came in, so I decided to go for a cheap option and use burlap, or hessian as some people call it. This is really cheap. Just like the twine, burlap is also biodegradable, which is a very good reason to use it. I bought this from eBay. And I'm just going to use a little bit of twine to secure it in place. Lastly, I just cut away the excess burlap around the edge. I also remembered that I have this metal brown pot, and I thought it would be nice to mix it up a little and use it too. I'm going to decorate it using my leftover burlap pieces. The last little terracotta pot I had painted brown for my Easter display, so I thought it was a great idea to reuse it. I really enjoy working with the plants, and here they come, all finished. My next mini project was to deal with these candle holders. Now they are in a grey colour at the moment, which I don't really like anymore. So I decided to paint them that lovely dark brown. However, I had some brown paint already, which I decided to use, but it took forever. If you do a project like this, I would recommend that you get some spray paint. I really love giving items that I don't like anymore a new lease of life, and I was so chuffed with the way these turned out. It always amazes me just how big a difference a bit of paint can make. Now it was time for one of my favourite pastimes, and that is making a wreath. I'm going to use the same base wreath as you've seen me use before, but this time, of course, I'm going with the glorious colours of autumn. I start off by trimming all my faux flowers, and I'm just going to use some pliers for this. I'm going to be using some of the expensive florals that I bought, but I'm going to fill it all out with some much cheaper ones. And I'll link below in the description box whatever I can. As you can see here, I'm literally just threading the flowers and leaves into the wreath. But I'm making sure that I cover both the inner circle and the outer circle because I want my wreath to look really full. Then it was time to decorate our porch, which as you can see is not very large. So I've placed some straw bales out the front to make it appear a bit larger. I'm going to start off by hanging my wreath, and I was so pleased with how well that sat next to the colour of our bricks. These are apple boxes, and I often use them when I make displays. I use them because they look natural and I like the look of them, and also they add a bit of height to my porch, and of course I like decorating them. When it comes to styling these apple boxes, I like to place bigger items first and then go into more details afterwards. And I'm using items that I've already got, and you may well recognize some of these from previous videos. I'm going for a more traditional fall look for my porch this year, so I'm using colors which are fall-like and which are natural. Colors like orange, rust color, the lovely dark browns. And I'm also using items which seems more natural too, like wood and like the wicker baskets. When I style larger items like this basket, I like to fill it up a bit before I place my finer things. And I just use packaging, and I cover the packaging with a bit of my excess burlap. Now I would prefer to use real pumpkins, but they are not ready yet. So I'm using some faux ones, I'm using some twigs from the garden and a bit of faux leaves just to make the basket fit in with my theme. I ensure that I turn my pumpkins in all different directions because it will make it look more natural. For this next vessel, or bowl if you like, I want to mix it up a bit. So instead of using burlap, I'm going to use some Spanish moss, which I'm then going to decorate with some apples. These are faux apples. I also had some leaves left over from when I did the wreath, so I thought it might look nice if I added those too. And I'm mixing it up again for this basket. So this time I'm going to be using a glass vase, and these dried flowers are actually the tops of sweet corn that I dried last year. I filled the rest of the basket with cones from our cedar tree and some more faux pumpkins, and the flowers I'm using here are actually dried alliums from our garden. Now for the other side of the porch, and when I do this I like to repeat some of the stuff I did before because it will give you a more balanced look. So I'm adding some more dried sweet corn tops and some more of our lovely beautiful little cones from the cedar tree, and also some more of the faux pumpkins. This beautiful brown bowl I found on a recent thrifting trip, and I'll make sure I link that video below. Again, I'm making sure that I'm placing the apples in all different directions to make it look more real. I would love to hear from you all about what you are doing for fall. Are you decorating your porch? Also, what kind of colour scheme are you going to be using? For this last box, I decided to bring in a garland just for a real burst of that lovely fall colour. To finish off these boxes, I just went around placing items here and there to make it look more natural. Fall isn't perfect, well it sort of is, but it isn't perfectly placed, so I don't want this to be either. Then it was time to concentrate on the outer porch, and for this I needed flowers, and these are just so gorgeous. I don't know what it is with these mums, but they just work perfectly on steps. We are very fortunate that we happen to live very close to horses. In fact, they're right next door. So when it comes to straw bales, I just borrow some from the stables. I think this little tray worked out just fine, and I'm just going to decorate it with some flowers, apples and a few cones. I hope you found something that might inspire you in this video to decorate for fall, whether it's playing with sticks like I did, or maybe making your own wreath. This little riser also added something to this straw bale, and again I'm just decorating it with some apples and some cones, and of course some more pumpkins. All there is left is just adding some candles, and then the job is done. Of course, I wasn't going to leave you without an autumn bake, and what sounds better than apple crumble cupcakes? Now these are light, soft cinnamon sponges with apple, golden delicious crumble, cinnamon buttercream and even more crumble. Perfect for the autumn. This is another recipe from Jane's Patisseries, and I have to say I often use her recipes because they're absolutely excellent and you can't go wrong. And I'll be sure to leave a link in the description box below. I would love to hear what your favourite autumn bakes are. I mean, it's this time of year, we gotta all get baking, haven't we? Whilst I'm baking, I wanted to thank you all for watching. I appreciate it more than you can imagine. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and leave me a comment. I absolutely love your comments and I love hearing from you. Into the oven they go, and the smell that fills up our house when these are in the oven is just superb. Apple and crumble, it's the best. I use Bramley apples for these ones. I like them because they're not too sweet. And now they're finished, it's time to make some more crumble. So there's always some left over, which I just put in the oven for about 20 minutes. I'm going to use this crumble to decorate the very top of the cupcakes. But first I need to make some buttercream. I always make my own buttercream because it's so easy to do. So this buttercream has unsalted butter, icing sugar, I put a little bit of ground cinnamon in and also some vanilla extract and a bit of boiling water. And then it's time to get decorating, my favourite thing. So I'm finishing these cupcakes off with some of the extra crumble and also some Billionaire's chocolate chip mix. And here they are, all finished. That's all from me today. I'm going to leave you with some videos from the garden just so you can see how it's getting on. Much love from London.